What's going on, guys? Frost here, and I'm back with another guide. This time we'll be talking about Amumu jungle. The following subjects will be mentioned in this guide: champion description, abilities, leveling order, runes, masteries, the item build, and ending off with the jungle routes. If you want to go to a specific subject, you can click on it right now. Champion description. Amumu is a very good jungler with an insanely fast jungle clear. The only downside is clearing his jungle takes like all of his mana. But this problem has been fixed with the new rune glaive, since this item gives you mana sustain in the jungle now. And it also increases Amumu's clear speed even more. Besides having a good clear speed, Amumu also has great ganks from a fairly early point in the game, because when you hit your Q, the enemy is straight up stunned. And when you get to the teamfight stage in the mid to late game, with Amumu you'll pretty much straight up dominate this, because he can AoE ult that can snare the entire enemy team, and with the build I'll show you later in this video, you'll also one-shot their carries. So, if you like a champion that's quite farm heavy with solid ganks and a very good teamfight potential, Amumu is definitely the champion for you. Amumu's abilities. His passive, Cursed Touch. Amumu's basic attacks reduce his target's magic resist by 15, 20, 25 for 3 seconds. This rebuff refreshes with every basic attack. This passive is insanely good. It helps you with dealing more damage on all of your skills plus the rune glaive proc. Also, always try to auto attack so you can proc this passive onto your target before you use your skills. Of course, there will be situations where you can't do this, but try to do it because the MR threat your passive gives is just too good. His first ability, Bandage Toss. Amumu tosses a line of linen in a target direction that catches onto the first enemy it hits, stunning them for 1 second, dealing magic damage and pulling Amumu to it. This skill is what you mainly use for ganking, as it will stun the opponent for 1 second and allows you to catch up to the enemy. This skill is also great to engage teamfights with, as you can hit a target with it that's in the front line and then flash ult to hit their carries in the back line. Don't use this skill when you're clearing your jungle. If you use it when clearing and you get invaded, you're dead. And people love to invade Amumu, so be very careful. His second ability, Despair. Amumu's tears begin to pool around him. Enemies within the pool take magic damage per second equal to a base amount plus percentage of their maximum health. This percentage maximum health is not capped against monsters, meaning that you will get objectives like Baron and Dragon very quickly. And it allows you to clear your jungle in no time. This is great because then you can put a lot more pressure on the map since you're farming faster, and you don't lose anything for it. His third ability, Tantrum. Passively, this skill reduces physical damage by a certain amount that scales with each point you put into this skill. Upon using this ability, Amumu releases his anger, dealing magic damage to nearby enemies. The cooldown of this skill is reduced by 0.5 seconds for each auto attack that hits Amumu. This skill is pretty much your main damage dealing skill, as the cooldown is low and the damage is high. And if for example you're fighting in a minion wave, then you can use this like 3 times in 2 seconds, which is pretty stupid. His fourth ability, Curse of the Sad Mummy. Amumu entangles all enemies in a radius of this skill, dealing magic damage and rendering them unable to move and attack for 2 seconds. This skill is amazing when it comes to teamfights, because you can hit this onto the entire enemy team to deal a lot of damage and allow your team to pretty much kill them for free. Especially when you build the Amumu the way I do. You will have a lot of fun ulting people to pretty much take all their health. Also guys, don't be afraid to just ult in a 1v1 situation or anything like that, because it's better to use it and get the kill than to save it and either miss the kill or just die yourself, as this ability does a lot of damage. Also, when you're going into teamfights with this, you can flash cancel it by pressing it and then instantly flashing after it. Leveling these abilities. On level 1 I start with W because this will help you with the fastest initial camp clear for the least amount of mana. Then on level 2 I take my E for the most clear speed and damage when you're doing your buff. Then on level 3 I take my Q, and sometimes I'll put a second point into my E if I'm 100% sure that I won't get invaded, because a second point into your E actually speeds up your jungle by so much. You only have to take Q if you're expecting an invade or if you want to gank a lane early on. As far as maxing goes, I'll max my E first for the most damage output and damage reduction, then I'll max my Q second for a lower cooldown on it and more burst damage, and I'll max my W last because this percentage health magic damage doesn't scale better than any of your other skills when you put points into it. And of course you take your R whenever possible. The runes. I take 9 magic pen marks, 9 armor seals, 9 scaling AP glyphs and 3 flat AP quints. I take 9 magic pen marks because this gives you the biggest damage increase, as legitimately all of your damage is AP. Then I take 9 flat armor seals to help me survive my early jungle. I take 9 scaling AP glyphs because as a Amumu you're not really banking on the pre-6 early game, so taking flat AP wouldn't be as worth it as your scaling AP glyphs. And finally, I take 3 flat AP quints to make my early AP high enough to be able to clear at a nice pace. The masteries. I take 21, 9, 0 on Amumu, taking all the means of increasing my damage in offense and the feast mastery to help me sustain both my health and mana that little bit extra when clearing. Then in defense I take both damage reduction for monsters and a health shred on monsters to maximize my clear speed and take as little damage as possible. Combining these mastery skills with the ability Amumu has to clear his jungle will make it so that he'll have an insane amount of farm in no time. And the other points I put into slow reduction and increased health. The item build. There's only really one item build that I think is viable on Amumu currently, and this is the build with Runeglaive in it. The reason for this is because Runeglaive offers Amumu the much needed mana sustain in his jungle. So now for the build. I start with a machete, 2 health potions and a warding trinket. After my initial clear I go back and buy the Trailblazers upgrade to my jungle item and a pair of regular boots. After this you want to start building into a Runeglaive enchant. This builds out of a Sheen, and if you don't have enough money to buy the Sheen instantly on your next back, get only the Amplifying Tome and some mana potions, because this is gonna help you more than flat mana. And this also allows you to buy maybe a few wards or some health potions. When you have completed your Runeglaive enchant, you want to upgrade your boots into Sorks and then start building into a Haunting Guise. Combining Haunting Guise with Sorks will offer you a massive amount of magic damage. And combined with your passive you'll pretty much deal true damage with all of your skills because you shred so much MR. After Hunting Guides you want to start building into a Rylai's. Start by getting the Giant's Belt first because you already have a massive amount of damage. Right now all you need is a little bit more tankiness to survive. Also, Rylai's makes it so you slow the enemies pretty much permanently, allowing you to stick with them and deal a lot of damage. After Rylai's you want to finish your Hunting Guides into a Liandry's. Liandry's does an insane amount of damage, especially after Rylai's, because the enemy is always slowed, so you will deal double passive damage. After you finish your Liandry's, you want to start building into some raw tank stats, in the form of Frozen Heart and Banshees. I generally go for Frozen Heart first, because this offers you cooldown reduction as well. But if you're against a heavy AP team, you want to get yourself a Banshees first. Now, what you can do in the very late game is the following. Sell your Runeglaive for a Death Cap to give your damage a massive boost. After this Death Cap, you want to sell your boots first for a Ludens. You want to make the boots to Ludens trade because this will make it so you don't lose a shitload of movement speed. And after this you can sell your Banshees for a Void Staff and your Frozen Heart for a Zonias. Yes, going into the full late game I always transform my entire build into full AP. Because all you have to do at this stage is land one simple ultimate and you will one-shot their entire team pretty much. Also your Q and E will simply one-shot the enemy carries. Selling items can be done in whatever order you like as long as you sell each item for the right item. And I highly advise going for Death Cap first. The jungle routes. In the background right now you can see the jungle clear I pretty much always try to do on Amumu for both sides of the map. There are some variations though. If you think you'll get invaded, which happens quite a lot as a Amumu, then start at your red or blue buff and straight up run to the other buff. This is to make sure that you will get both buff camps so the enemy doesn't get a massive lead on you. Everything you do after is just basic clearing, and losing like a wolf camp early doesn't impact you much. Also remember to take Scuttle Crab whenever it's up, because you will have a built-in stun, making it very easy and quick to clear for a lot of money, and it gives you map pressure. Scuttle spawns at 2:30 and respawns 3 minutes after clearing it. As far as ganking goes, you should try to mostly use your ult ganks on bot lane because your ult makes it quite easy to double kill the enemy. Especially because you can ult both targets and then stun one target right after to CC them to death, and allowing your bot lane to kill them for free pretty much. When you don't have ult, ganking top and mid is the way to go. Q will 90% of the time be enough CC to kill the solo laner. Thank you guys so much for watching this guide on Amumu. If you've enjoyed this video or learned anything from it, please remember to hit that like button as this really helps me in growing my channel. If you want to see more guides like this, hit that subscribe button and leave suggestions on what champion I should do next in the comments below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!